and to you after. So here we go, Media Literacy Week for junior school, because usually when we talk about media literacy, you know, we think about big kids, social media, this kind of stuff. But I used to be a teacher librarian during, a long time, during 15 years. And I think it's really important to begin to talk about this topic with young students either. So I send an email to Laura, and maybe she will transfer to you. You will have all the presentation and a Padlet with some resources that I will show you tonight. You will have access to that after the presentation. So if you want to go back to some link, or you're more than welcome to do that after. Because we're online, I would like some interactivity sometime. So I would like to ask you, if you have a computer, to connect on a small software called WooClap, or you can scan the QR code with your phone. And I will ask you some questions about media literacy. And it's begin now. So if you want to, if you want to scan the QR code, or if you want to open WooClap and enter the event code DNEPAB, you can go through it. Et si vous avez des questions ou des commentaires, n'hésitez pas à lever la main, ou je vous regarde un petit peu. Voilà. Yes. The question is, what is media literacy? One word, just one word, no sentence. When I say media information literacy, what is the first one that comes into your mind? You can answer a bunch of time if you want, but it's one word each time.
When you understand when you hear. Oh, yes.
Okay, I think it's a great beginning, because if you don't know what is it, I think it's interesting to begin by that, by a quick introduction about what is media information literacy. I see some good idea, because the first word that was put in the word cloud was million and information. So I think it's a good way to go through it. And you have media, content, share, you have a lot of words. And I think this is the point. When we talk about media information literacy, it's something going on with critical thinking. You know, this is the kind of word that everybody uses, but we don't put exactly the same thing under the word. So I would like to make a quick definition with you about what is media literacy, and how we can incorporate that in our classroom. So thank you for that. We will maybe come back to all the different definitions during this presentation. So what is media literacy? I will begin by saying what is not media literacy. Because when we're talking about media literacy, usually I have a lot of fake news, of social media, about how screen can be bad for kids. It's part of media information literacy, but this is not the core of it. For example, everybody is asking me to talk about ChatGPT. I'm not sure that this is the first step to talk about media and information. We will go through that, of course, and maybe your student will have questions about that, and we need to let open space to ask this question. But media literacy, it's not only that. I put a little tree because usually fake news and everything is the tree hiding the forest, you know? There is a lot behind it. For me, media literacy is about critical thinking and how we can help our students to navigate in this world of millions of information that we are surrounded by. So there is two sides of media information literacy. You can teach with media. For example, if you use a video, if you use a newspaper article, if you use something from the internet, you're doing information literacy because you ask the kids to work about information, but you can teach too about media. How media is working, how we can write content for internet, for example, this kind of stuff. So this is a big topics, and I know there is a lot to do, but I just want to introduce you to some idea tonight. So basically, media and information literacy, it's these different topics. We will talk about information literacy. When we do a research project, it's about information. Media literacy, it's about media in the sense of news, you know, information news. You will have some technology skill, critical thinking, and communication. And this is a panel. And sometimes when we talk about media information literacy, we think about media education, we think about information, but you can open the panel to all this topic. Of course, you will not do that in 1 week. You will not do everything even in 1 year, but you can pick little topics, you can pick little bite of working on media with your student and see where it's going. The problem with media information literacy, when you say you know nothing about it, I think it can be a little tricky because usually it's something everybody thinks the other is doing it. You know, if I ask to secondary teacher if they work on media with their students, they will say, oh no, they do it in a junior school. If I ask in the junior school teacher, they say, oh no, they will do it in French, you know. So we need to be careful to at least each have a little part in this game. And it's not about adding a new layer on your teaching, it's about incorporating already in your unit or in your teaching style. So what is it important? Because today we live in a data society. We have a lot with the apparition of social media at the beginning of the 2000. There is a lot of information with video and picture, and it's a new way to learn. You know, it's a new way to see. It's what we call information society. In the same time, because everything is on the same level, you don't have always the authority. You don't know who is speaking, and this is what the sociologue calls the liquid society. You don't have a hierarchy in information. If I give you some information about a fact that happened in the newspaper because I seen on my phone, my speech, my knowledge will be at the same level that someone who make research, academic research on it. So the kids are living in this environment, and we need to explain that to them, that there is some precaution to go through. And right now, since really the boom of social media, we talk about the attention society. COVID was really going through that too. Right now, we talk a lot about surinformation, info obesity. It's when you eat too much information and it can lead to news anxiety. So it's not a very bright picture about the information area. But I think it's important to have this in mind, and the school, the teacher, we can work with our students to try to not go through this gap in society. So yes, information area, we are surrounded by a lot of information and the kids have access to everything sometimes. So how we can coach them, how we can accompany them to work on that. Media literacy instruction, it's not something that I just invent just for tonight, you know. It begins in French, it's part of the curriculum, and in a lot of states, it begins mandatory in public and private school. So just to let you know that it's something in the air, you know, it's a work in progress. On this map, it's a map from Media Literacy Now with research laboratory about media and about use in the school. And yes, it begins really something. So we will see more and more of media literacy and of course critical thinking in the year to come. So what is the Media Week? The Media Week is a French event, but it's working in all over the world. It's organized by CLEMI. CLEMI is Centre de Liaison pour l'Enseignement des Médias et de l'Information. And it's something that appeared maybe 15 years ago because in France there was a big problem with information. Sometimes the TV or the radio was the only sources of information, and when internet began to come, a lot of people were not able to navigate through that. So it's a week in school to acknowledge media literacy and to try to make it an event, you know, to highlight in the year our work about media. So if you on the Padlet, you will have access to all the documents. Usually it's more about, this is a thematic for this year. These thematic are more for 5th, 6th grade, you know, middle school and high school. But just to let you know what is the tendency of that. Sport news because of the JO, journalism as a profession, news and IA, and ecology. So this is a kind of topic that can be treated to that, but it's just example, and I will show you more example about that. So for me, media literacy skill, you have 4 dimensions. The first one is to raising awareness with students. Explain to them what is access to information and discover media world. Because sometimes we are just in a position where the information is pushed on us and we consume, but in the same time, it's good to see behind the curtain, you know, and to see how the information was built and what are the economics, the message that we can find behind them. So raising awareness is about discovery. Critical thinking, it's about understand news, making progress, and evaluate and assess information. And this is something that really is effective in all topics, in all. This is the soft skills, the approach to learning that we can find in an IB program and in other curriculum. Ethic use of information, building ethics attitude and questioning and creating ethic content, you know, it's something that can be knowledge with the kids, and engage, create media message. When we know how media making media process is working, we can build on. So to begin with, if you want to talk about media, the first thing I think personally is to listening to students. So ask them if they have questions about media, because they already know a lot of stuff. Usually when we're going in this kind of topics, you know, this kind of education transdisciplinary subject, we try to rebuild everything, but the kids know a lot of things. So having a discussion with them at the beginning can be really effective. And maybe they will have some questions, some very specific questions. Maybe they will have they have some critical thinking already. They know what is going on, but we can open the dialogue with them. And for me, this is the first step, asking about the question about media. So I will give you some example of questions that I can ask to my student. For example, the first one can be, what is the latest news that you know and where from? Quelle est la dernière information dont vous vous rappelez et où est-ce que vous l'avez entendue? Donc, if you want, you can answer, you can still have the flap open and
science behind that. Oh, science behind the red. So much vitamin D. Man dies after consuming too much vitamin C.
Cool.
So you see, when we talk about news, even just this in a classroom, in a discussion with your student, it can be a great background to open discussion, because we see a lot of different news. There is some news that are like meteo, you know, it's raining today. There is some news that are political news. There is some news about cultural a show or this kind of stuff. So what is information? What is news? The support where you have it, you know, is it Instagram? Is it social media? Is it by radio? Is it something that you read? And the more and more you know, you can open a discussion with a student about it. And of course, how did you say that? People news, you know, about the Queen and the Princess of Wales. Yeah, I didn't know that Princess of Wales disappeared. I need to check that. But yes, so media literacy can be just that, you know, having like what is new in the world, what is the last news that you hear, and to show what is happened. Another question can be, how did you get informed? You know, where did you find your information? And I use my little software, but it can be on Post-it, you know, it can be an open, again, an open discussion. Donc, l'idée, c'est vraiment, en fait, de donner la place aux enfants pour qu'ils puissent vous parler, en fait, de ce qu'ils connaissent déjà sur les news. Okay, we have a big Instagram on this one. So, and just that, you know, just coming from brainstorming together in the classroom, it can be a good starting point. So I was making this presentation in a different school this morning, and some people say to me, sometimes the kids don't even know what is a newspaper. You know, when you show them a newspaper, it's like my grandpa used that. My grandpa has the news for that. So it can be interesting too to see how they get informed, how their parents get informed. Parents, sometimes it's the radio in the car, this kind of stuff, or the TV. So there is a lot going on about this topic with that. And maybe having a discussion about Google. Is Google an information sources, or how it's work, you know? And it can be opening to a lot of stuff. And of course, people, if your husband tells you, it's the same. But we need to retrace the sources. So this is I make a little game. I make a little play with you, but this is exactly the stuff that I use with students. And after, we can go through the next step, just making some brainstorming about what is media. But we can ask them to do a list of media, of course, as a word cloud or Post-it, or we can ask them to make a mind map. It's really a fun activity. You know, I just write media on a paper and I ask them to put what they have in mind. And it's something, just having a statement about media can be a great approach. I really love this book for small kids. Do you know this book? It's Lane Smith, and they are in both the books that I will show you. I will show you how to talk about media with reading and fiction. And usually this is books that are in both language. So you can have them in French and in English. And this one, you have c'est un livre et c'est un petit livre. So you have, it's a book, it's a small book, and it's about the differences between a book and a phone. Oh, what is that? Is it sending message? No, it's a book, you know, and it's really something with pre-K, K, and first grade. You can open a lot of discussion by this reading. Do you know this book, or? Yes, you can. No? Okay. Nice discovery. So I'm very, I really like it. I have it in both language, and I think it's in Spanish too. So yeah. On the Padlet, I'll give you a lot of working workshop, you know. It's Nancy van der Berg. She make a really great file about a different activity in English, and of course you can do it in French. But I used to do this kind of stuff with first grade too. You have the media, and you ask them, can you listen? Can you read? Can you view or watch? Usually I have some little drawing too, and they can color, you know, they can, and they know already a lot of stuff, and just about that. And with later kids, bigger kids, you can ask them about the purpose of media. Are they to persuade you? So it's an opinion. It's not it's a media of opinion. Are they here to inform, or are they to entertain? And just putting some label on media and trying to understand what is happening in this media, you know, it's a nice step to go through too. Another activity, so of course a lot of my activity and some resources are in French, but I try to find the pendant for pre-K, first grade. During the media week, they just come in the library. They have a bunch of different documents, and we just try to label them. What is a book? What is a magazine? What is a newspaper? How I recognize them? And working a little about the vocabulary, it's a great approach. And it's important really, because I say no, newspaper are not something that we use, even me, I don't like newspaper, it's too big. But show them how it used to be, maybe, I don't know. It's not the end of newspaper right now, but at least show them the object can be interesting. If you're going to first, second, third grade, it can be about how a newspaper is made, how a magazine is made with a specific vocabulary. And it's the beginning, because they label the different parts. They're trying to see what is the difference between the title and the intertitle, and after they can go through making their own article and making their own newspaper. So it's basic, but it's really some little activity. I hope that you can do tomorrow in your classroom, but yeah, it's different stuff. About discovery, something really working is show and tell too. Ask them to bring someone or to bring a drawing of how they have the news at home. And of course, I did that with third and fourth grade, I think. And some of them bring newspaper or magazine in different language, because sometimes the language at home are not the language that spoke at the school or in the recess court. So it can be really, really fun. And just let them discover, even if it's old magazine, or just manipulate and see what are the differences, what is going on that. And sometimes I used to like to make some exploration by topics, so I have the different science magazine. Oh, look, you want to know something about science, you can have this one. You want to know something about history, you can check this one. And I make you another Padlet with some resources bilingual. So you have the blue resources, they are in English. The white resources will be in French, but it's about the different media for kids that you can access. So if it's interesting to you, you can go to take a look. And there is some really good one, like CBC Kids News is really nice. You have Time for Kids. It's maybe for young reader, it's a little, you need to know how to read, but this is a kind of material that you can use if you want to talk about media. Of course, you can make some game. I really like this one. It's about, it's a timeline. So basically you have the card without a date, and you need to find the chronology, and when you talk about social media, the first computer, it's really, so it's a French version that I have, but I say we can have some inspiration and draw some some American or Canadian media in the game, and they really like it, because sometimes they are really, for young kids, they say internet is here since a long time, but what is a long time, so it's more cycle 2, cycle 3, I think, but it can be an inspiration about it. And one activity that I see a lot is if you are on a research unit, if you're working on a specific topic, just take one session to ask the kid to find a newspaper article, a magazine article. It can be online with specific website, or it can be on a paper. But for example, you're working about water, the kids can go and try to find one article about water, and it's really going through, you know, they are acting as researcher, they are trying to find some new information, and it can be just a highlight for the media week or for the to work like this. Do you have some question? Do you have some comment? Everything is perfect? Ok, je vous entends pas très bien, mais bon, j'estime que ça, tout va très bien alors, si personne n'a l'air de dormir. One thing that's really fun to do, I tell you, just as the kids, I used to have this in the library. I call that the alert, and it's about counting, about checking in real life, you know, where is the information. So for bigger kids, I will ask them, how many social media accounts do you have? How many advertisement do you see in a day? So just to make them aware of information, of publicity, the ones that I ask you about, what is the last news that you know and how you know about it. But it was like a ritual, you know. So every week we change and we ask them, and the kids just put number, just put what they want, and it's a conversation opener with them too. There is a lot of funny book, and for small kids, I used to have this one too. What is wrong in dinosaur time, you know? And it's about trying to find the the object or the character was not fitting. There is two of them, what's wrong in dinosaur time and what's wrong on the move. And it's really about taking some clue, you know, and having some reflex. What is the context? How I can verify, even if it's picture, how I can be aware and critical about the visual. Two books that are really fun. I don't know, La Rumeur de Venise, I don't know if you can still buy it, but it's about someone who catch a very big fish in Venice, you know, a very, very big fish. And everybody was like, is it true? Is it not true? So it's about information and disinformation. And the ones that I use in English was Give Me Shelter. It's about a series called Chicken Squad. And it's the kids, it's the same. They're going somewhere and they have a lot, they're explaining a story, but they are not sure what is true, what is fiction, and is it information or is it? So yeah, this is good book to read and to have a conversation and discussion about them. It's one of my favorite. If you're working on folk tales, you know, on the Three Little Pig. It's a book from John Seska, illustrated by Lane Smith. It's really cool. And this is a true story of the Three Little Pigs. La vérité sur l'affaire des trois petits cochons. Et puis il existe en autre langue aussi. But it's really on a newspaper format. You know, you have different articles, and it's by the wolf. So the wolf is a journalist, and he will explain. And he's really into investigation. You know, so it's you put yourself in the journalist shoe, and you see how you can gather information, evaluate, assess, and how you communicate them too. This one make me laugh a lot because it's about the same. So I put you the one, there is two French because there is a Canadian version. Elise Gravel is Canadian, but this is not the same title in French. The first one, Alerte culotte meurtrière, c'est au Canada. L'attaque des slips tueurs, c'est en France. Alors la traduction est pas du tout la même. Et puis Killer Underwear Invasion, it's really cute. You know, it's not about silly or anything. It's really about fake news, disinformation, but it's really fun. And because it's panty kids really happy to read this kind of book. But yes, it's a good support to work on that too. One stuff that really is effective is the telephone game. When you put the kids on a round circle and they need to put the sentences, and sometimes you make one and the sentences is good, and after you're trying to have like an intruder, you know, we need to change, and this is how you can manipulate information, and it's about how information and communication are working, and it's a fun game to do. Other books that you can use, I put everything on the Padlet, and it's really great. I really love to work about media, but by story with small kids, because I will not make them read a newspaper or a big article from the Times, but they understand, you know, they know where we're going. And Scoop, it's a French book, c'est Rue du Monde, et c'est illustré par Pef. And it's about Scoop. You want to have the better news, you know, you want to make the buzz, so how it's working and why we do that. Oh, it's not good. There is a little, I think I have the PDF on the Padlet. There is a little story too. It's Jacques Prévert. It's a little story about a little lion, and the lion is making a big story. And so in French, it's a great way to work with small kids, reading the story and ask them if they think the information are true, if the lion is making lies, or how it's working. And this one is really fun because it's a Smurf reporter, and it's really explaining how you make a newspaper, because the Smurf is doing a newspaper by himself. And it's something that I use a lot in junior school, because you can just extract some comics picture and make a real game with that. I make a small video in French, and after the point is to explain how to make a newspaper, and after the kids are supposed to do their own newspaper, so they will be all Smurf reporter, yeah. But this is the kind of support that you can have. And after the last one, it's about Abilo Media, and you can work on picture too. How a picture is done, you know, and what inside the picture. When you take a picture, what do you see, and what can be outside? And it's really funny to work with the kids. You can just make the little frame, and they have the inside picture and what is all the picture. And it's something that we use a lot with big kids to talk about social media. You know how Instagram show you just a part of the a framing of the reality, and what is outside is totally different. So this is really kind of, you know, you can go in all the direction, and it's not only about using phone and social media and the computer. What I try to show you tonight is about talking about media literacy without without at least online media. This book, I was sure that this book was in English, but it's in German. So you have it in French and in German. But it's about marketing, you know, and how when you use some online app or some Google research, this kind of stuff, you're part of the marketing. And it's really fun, it's really graphic, it's really efficient for the kids. And you know, it's all about the parody. Coca-Cola is not writing, Google, it's not writing the right way, but it's really a great book. I use it in 4th, 5th grade maybe, but it can be interesting to see this kind of stuff. The last document that I use is at one point talking about the vocabulary, and sometimes, you know, the kids know the Spanish word for journal, they know the English word, so making a link, or the French word, so making a link. And I really love this dictionary, because you have the different word in 5 languages and just show them how it's called. Is it the same? You know, it can be about talking about the vocabulary. Of course, it's about journal, so it's a little, you know, you don't have the one on internet, but it's the same. It can be an inspiration, or ask them if they know the word in another language, at least having this kind of topic. If you're interested, there is a YouTube channel, and it's in French, but it's small video, and it's explain les petits experts de l'info, and there is les reporters du primaire too, and it's video about what is publicity, what is a journalism. So it can give some, it's really short usually, and it can give some insight rapidly. I used to use them at the beginning of some topics. For example, we talk about journalism. They just watch the video, trying to answer some question, and after we go on the direct project. So all the resources that I show you are on this Padlet, so you can access them, and you can find the link to the different materials. I try to put the same for some lesson that I show you, teacher lesson, or I put the website in French and the website in English. English is blue, French is white, but you will find, and I hope that you will find some inspiration about this topic. We have a map too about the different what the school of MLF America and MLF Mont network are doing. So you will have access to it too, and you will see what the different projects in different school. I love to do that. I love to spy. It's not spying, it's mutualization, but it's sharing, and you will see and maybe take some inspiration about what happening in the different school all over the world. It's really fun to see what we can do. So sorry, because we begin a little late, I try to keep my timing, so maybe I speak a little fast. I don't know if you have any question, if you have some comment. Voilà, donc the point is not to making you do the media week, you know, but if at one point in the year, if at one point in your lesson, in your session, you can have a little kick, you know, and saying, oh, we can work on media at this time. It's really, I know that the MYP, PIP program have a strong media curriculum, but sometimes it's just about making link and working as a school about this kind of subject.